Hey Preschool 2 friends, it's Teacher Annette. What is the weather like where you live right now? Where I live, on the day that I'm making this video, it is so hot outside. And that's because it's summer. Summer just started a few days ago. Well, more like 2 weeks ago now. But that means that it's been pretty hot outside. But where I live, it gets really cold sometimes too, usually in the winter. But other than what time of year it is, how else can we tell if something is hot or cold? Well, I have a game that we can play where we can decide which things are hot and which things are cold and put them into different buckets. So it's called a hot or cold sort. Would you like to play with me? Awesome. So let's get set up. What I'm going to use are these two bins, but you can use bowls or Ziploc bags or anything that you can find around the house that would work. And I'm going to make signs with them with some sticky notes. You can either use like red and blue or pink and blue or just regular sticky notes. I'm actually going to show you another way to use these after we're done with our activity. So for now, what I'm going to do is, and for this you can also use blue and red marker or a black marker, but I'm going to use the blue and red because I think it's fun. And this part an adult can help you with, or your big one of your big siblings if they know how to spell. So with the blue marker, I'm going to write the word cold on here. It's going to go C-O-L-D, cold. And I'm going to put the cap back on my marker so it doesn't dry out. And then I'm going to take off the sticky note. And this part is where it's sticky. And I'm going to put it on the front of one of my bins. Just like that. And then, oh, we don't need that one yet. I'm going to take my red marker, take off the cap, and I'm going to write the word hot. So, you need a big H, little O, and little T, hot. And then the same with that one, I'm going to take off the sticky note, and I'm going to put it with the sticky part on my bin, just like that. And if you actually want to try spelling these words yourself, I'll write them on the whiteboard, and you can pause the video when I hold it up after the words are written, and you can write them yourself. So here we have the whiteboard. Let's first write in the colors. So let's start with cold, because C comes before H in the alphabet. So again, here we go. C-O-L-D. Oh, I did that one backwards. It's hard when you're looking at it. Maybe I didn't. Cold. So C-O-L-D, cold. Now let's write the word hot. All right, so I'm gonna do a big H and a little O and a little T, hot. All right, I'm gonna write the words again, but this time I'm gonna write them in the black marker so you can see that they look the same even in other colors. All right, so let's try and do it this way this time so I can write it a little nicer. Oops, there goes one of my markers. Here we go. C-O-L-D, cold. and H-O-T, hot. So it doesn't matter what color you write them in because they're the same word. I just like to use colors sometimes when it makes me think of a certain word. So like I like to write the word cold in blue and the word hot in red because that's what colors they remind me of. And sometimes I like to write the word flower in purple because that's my favorite flower color. So if you want to try writing these words by yourself, I'm going to hold up the whiteboard and you can pause the video and write them and then play it again when you're done. Here we are. All done? All right. So I don't need this anymore. So I'm going to erase that and pick up the eraser I dropped. Put that back where it goes, where it belongs, in my teacher stuff. And let's start playing. So what I did was I went online and I found some pictures of things that are hot and cold. And if you want to find pictures online, make sure that that an adult or an older sibling helps you. You can tell them that I got these pictures from a website called Unsplash, and it's also linked in the video description, and they can find free pictures to use there. So I searched for things like ice and winter and candles and oven and ice cream and all sorts of things. So there are, I believe, 12 pictures here. So there's going to be 6 hot ones and 6 cold ones. And I'm going to keep these behind me so you can kind of see them. I know they're a little out of range, but it's okay. And if you don't have a printer, if you can't print out pictures at home, you can also find some old magazines to clip up, or you can draw the pictures on a piece of paper, or you can maybe put the sticky notes on pictures in books or magazines or around your house. So let's start. All right, so let's see what our first picture is. What does this look like to you? This might not be something that you've seen before if you don't live somewhere where it gets snow when it's cold. But even when I lived in California, some days it got really cold, and even though we didn't get snow, we got icicles. So these are kind of tiny little icicles. And icicles are formed, well, how do you think icicles get made? So icicles are made usually where it snows when the snow starts to melt. But then before all of it can melt, it gets so cold and freezing again that the water freezes up again while it's dripping off the branch. So that's how we get icicles. And our icicles, these ones are on a branch, but sometimes they're on what we call the eaves, the edge of the roof on houses, and sometimes they can be on signs or on our cars or just anywhere outside that it's been snowy, or or maybe it was raining and then it got so cold that the rain started to freeze as it was dropping off the branches. So these are branches here that are frozen with icicles. And do you think that these icicles are cold or hot? What do you think they would feel like if you touched them? Do you think they would be cold or hot? I think they would be cold. And if you touched one with your hand, what kind of texture do you think it would have? Do you think it would be smooth or rough? Do you think it would be bumpy or soft or hard? I think if I touched one, especially while they're melting, that it would be smooth but hard and really slippery, because water makes ice very slippery. So this goes in our cold bucket. Oh, wrong bucket. Our cold bucket. All right, next picture is a candle. Do you have any candles around your house? Candles come in like so many different shapes and sizes and colors. Actually, let me show you some of my candles. Okay, so I went and found some of my candles, and I really like candles, especially the ones that smell like flowers. So my favorite candle is this one, which is smells like a flower called blue hyacinth. Yes, I think I'm saying that right. And it smells so good, and it's kind of big, and it's purple, and it has 3 wicks, and the wicks are what you light. And then I have another favorite flower. This one is called Lilac Breeze, and oh look, it even has a different top. This one has a plastic top with some holes in it. I don't know if you can see that very well. And this one has a glass top with a plastic ring around it to keep it shut. And this one has only 1 wick, and it's really small next to this one, right? Yeah. Then I also have this one. Now this one looks like it was made at home, or maybe on the farm where my mom got it for me. And this one says balsam fir. So this one actually smells like a Christmas tree, and it has 1 wick in it, and even the inside looks a little different from the inside of the other candles, because it's green, but it's also shiny, and this one isn't. And then I also have this big one that says, or the name is Sea Linen. And this one is big, and it's kind of shaped the same as this, but which one is smaller? This one is. And this one we said was kind of big too, but is this one bigger? This one is. So if we had all 3 of these together, which one do you think is the biggest out of all 3? The green and blue one, or the teal one. And which one do you think is the smallest? Right, this one. And if this is the biggest and this is the smallest, what does that make this? That makes this the medium one, the middleest one. Wow, so many fun things we can do with candles. All right, so do you think a candle is hot or cold? And why do you think it's hot or cold? I think it's hot because you have to light a fire on it when you want to use it. They're not hot right now, but when I want to use it, it gets hot, and I know not to touch it. So this is going to go in our hot bin. And then we have ice cream. Now, when you eat ice cream, is it hot or is it cold? It's cold. So this is going to go in our cold bin. Now, what do you think this is? Or maybe you've been somewhere like here, or maybe you live somewhere like here. This is called a desert. And do you think that if you went to this desert, it would feel hot in the air, or it would feel cold in the air? What do you think? How can we tell from the picture if it's cold or hot? Well, we can see that there's nothing green, and usually when nothing is green, it's either too cold or too hot. And there are deserts that are really cold. They don't look like this, but they get really cold and they're really dry. And at nighttime, this kind of desert gets really cold too. But during the daytime, this kind of desert is hot. All right, how about this? I think it's a glass of milk. And maybe the way that you drink milk is a little different, but this one I was thinking of if you got it right out of the fridge. So do you think that would be hot or cold? It would be cold. Some people, they like to warm up their milk before they drink it, but I was thinking about this as being cold because I like my milk cold. And speaking of the fridge, here we have a picture of the inside of someone's fridge. Is the inside of a fridge hot or cold? It's cold. And why do you think it's so cold in there? Well, did you know that how cold it gets in the fridge and the freezer helps our food to last longer so that we don't have to eat it right away and that it doesn't go bad as fast? So this is a cold picture. And then here's a cup with something in it. What kind of drink is this? Have you ever had a drink that has a little tag on it like that? This is tea. And sometimes your tea might not have a bag or a tag on it, but usually when tea is in this kind of cup, is it hot or cold? It's usually hot. Now there can be cold tea too, but this one, this is what's called seeping the tea. That's when, or brewing it, which is when you make it in hot water. That looks like it's hot. So that's the kind of tea you gotta wait for it to cool down to drink. Oh, here's another picture of a place. Do you think it's hot or cold here? What in the picture tells you if it's hot or cold? Well, let's look. What does this look like it's made out of? It looks like it's made out of snow, right? And we can see some snow over here. But I think this is an iceberg. And maybe on top there's snow, but icebergs actually go really deep into the water, and underneath they look like a big, big, big ice, like a big piece of ice. That's why they're called icebergs. And do you think an iceberg would be hot or cold? And where do you think an iceberg would be to be able to stay that way? It's cold, and it stays somewhere cold. So we used our brains, we used thinking and clues in the picture to help us know if this is hot or cold. And it's cold. Now, have you ever seen your mom or dad or someone in your family do something like this? What do you think this person is doing in this picture? They're cooking, or baking is what we usually call it when it's in an oven, right? It looks like there's some really good vegetables there. Oh my goodness, these potatoes look delicious. I want to make some potatoes now. And is an oven, is it hot or cold when it's on? It's hot, and we have to be really careful not to get too near to it when it's on, right? And why do you think they're wearing these mittens? What do you think they do? They keep the person safe when they're taking the food out of the oven, because you have to take it out before it gets too cold, or else it won't taste very good, right? But we have to be careful And we have to make sure an adult is the one doing this, okay? All right, so that goes in our hot one. Oh, how about this? I bet you know what this is. It's a slice of pizza. What shape is this slice of pizza? If you turn it upside down, what does it look like? A triangle. It has 1, 2, 3 points and 1, 2, 3 sides. Even when it's this way, it's still a triangle because it has 1, 2, 3 points and 1, 2, 3 sides. And pizza can be hot or cold, but what temperature is it? Is it when you make it yourself, or when a delivery person gets it, or you get it at a restaurant? Is it hot or cold? It's hot because we have to cook pizza in an oven, and when it's done, it usually gets hot. So we'll put this in the hot bin, but you know, maybe you eat your pizza out of the fridge so it's cold. There's some pizza I like to eat cold, and then there's some pizza I like to eat hot. It just depends on the pizza. All right, we only have 2 more left. We're almost done. You're doing a great job. So let's see. Here's our second to last picture. And what is this? It's a fire. You might hear this called a campfire, or a pit fire, or just a fire, or maybe a bonfire. When I think of a bonfire, though, I think of something really big. So, but either way, there's fire here. And is fire hot or cold? It's hot. And this can be a good way to keep us warm when it's cold outside. But you have to be really careful because fire hurts a lot, right? Yeah. And it's really orange and yellow and almost red. So do you think that's maybe why we use the color red when we talk about hot things? Yeah, I think so too. Last picture. What is this? It's a house covered in snow. Maybe you've seen this in real life, or maybe you've seen it in movies or a book. Maybe you live somewhere like this. Maybe you don't. When I was growing up and when I was going to college, which is school for adults, I lived somewhere that if you wanted snow, you had to go up to the mountains. Sometimes we got snow where I live, but it melted really fast. But then when I was a little older, I moved with my family to Michigan, where we get snow like this every winter. And do you think that snow is hot or cold? It's cold. Just like when we talked about our icicles, how sometimes they're made when snow melts. And what would make snow melt? Something hot, right? Maybe something like the sun, or a fire, like a campfire. So we'll put this in our cold box. And we're done. Let's see what pictures we have. Let's do our hot first, because we finished that bin first. So we have our fire, our slice of pizza, we have our oven, the tea, the desert, a hot desert, and the candle. And then in our cold box, we have the house with snow all over it, the iceberg, probably somewhere very cold, the refrigerator, the inside of the fridge, the glass of cold milk, 2 ice cream cones, and our, had to see which way they go, icicles. So those are cold and hot things. Can you think of other things that might be cold or hot? Do you have other things in your house that are cold or hot? Maybe you do. And this is the part I wanted to show you with these other sticky notes. So you can either use the regular color, the yellow sticky notes. This is what you usually find at the store. But sometimes you can find color ones, and I have blue and pink. I don't have red, but pink looks a little like red. It's like if you put some white in red, you would get pink. So, and then you can write the color names on them. So on this one, I'm going to put hot, H-O-T, hot. I didn't close my circle, hot. And on this one, I'm going to put cold, C-O-L-D, cold. And what you can do is take these sticky notes and, you know, you can put the words on them, or you can just leave them the color they are. But if you use these ones, you want to make sure that you have the words or that you color on them so you know which one is which. And you can take these sticky notes and put them on things around your house. So maybe I would put the hot sticky note on one of my candles. So I can identify this as something hot. And then I can take my cold one and maybe I can put it on my water bottle, because the water I put in there is usually cold. It comes from the fridge, so it's cold. And you can do this hot and cold hunt around your house. You know, you can make a collage with hot and cold things. You can cut pictures out of old magazines, but make sure that when you do this stuff that you have someone older to help you, either a big sibling or one of your parents or another adult that you live with. Way, it's a really fun way to learn the difference between hot and cold, and to practice writing your letters or spelling the words. When you go out somewhere, you can either play this game by yourself, or you can play it with someone who is out with you, and you can think about all the cold and hot things that are around you, and you can take turns naming them, or you could just tell somebody, hey look, that's something hot and that's something cold. So I hope this was fun, that you enjoyed playing along and talking about some of these things with me. I know I had a lot of fun, and I can't wait to play again with you. Bye!